Edgar Allan Poe biography. Edgar Allan Poe was a prominent American writer, poet, literary critic, and editor located in the period of Romanticism, which developed in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. While Poe is primarily associated with Romanticism, a literary movement that emphasized emotion, individuality, and nature, he is also considered a precursor of realism and naturalism, especially in his focus on shelter psychology and exploration of madness and death. Poe is known for his work in various literary genres, including the horror story, poetry, science fiction, and detective story. Born in 1809, he had a childhood marked by tragedy, as he lost his parents, who were traveling theater actors, at the age of 2. He was raised by John Allan, a prosperous merchant of Richmond, Virginia, but his relationship with him was complicated and full of tension. The death of his mother has had a profound impact on Poe, becoming a recurring theme of his life and work. Poe spent part of his childhood in the United Kingdom, where he began his education. Upon returning to the United States, he attended the University of Virginia, but his love of gambling and alcohol led to his expulsion. After leaving his adoptive father's home, he moved to Boston, where he published his first book, Tamerlane and Other Poems, anonymously in 1827. He enlisted in the army and after 2 years published his second book of poems, Al-Araf. Thanks to the influence of John Allan, he obtained a position at the West Point Military Academy, but was expelled again for negligence. In 1832, he moved to Baltimore, where he married his cousin Virginia Clem, who was only 14 years old. Their marriage was a source of both happiness and suffering, as Virginia suffered from tuberculosis, which deeply affected Poe. During his life, Poe had a literary career that he still recognized to this day. Almost his most notable works are The Raven, 1845, a narrative poem that has become one of his most iconic works, known for its dark atmosphere and its exploration of loss and madness. The tales of Grotesque and the Arabesque, 1840, a collection of short stories that include some of his most famous stories, such as The Fall of the House of Usher and The Telltale Heart. The Golden Beetle, 1843, a story that combines elements of mystery and adventure and is considered one of the first detective stories. The Mystery of Mary Roget, 1842, a short novel that follows the model of a detective story based on a real murder case. The System of Dr. Darr and Professor Feder, 1845, a story that sacrificed the psychiatry satirized the psychiatric practice of its time. However, his wife Virginia's illness seriously affected his personal and professional life. After Virginia's death in 1847, Poe fell in a state of deep depression, which worsened his addiction of alcohol and drugs. His life became increasingly erratic and lonely. Poe died in 1849 at the age of 40. Under mysterious circumstances, he was found unconscious on a Baltimore street and taken to a hospital, where he died a few days later. The cause of his death has been the subject of speculation, including theories of stroke, alcohol poisoning, or even possible poisoning. His legacy endured, and his influence on literature is undeniable, especially in the horror and mystery genres, where his style and theme have been left a lasting mark.